In the middle of filming one of the most emotionally intense scenes in the hospital drama, The Pit, the camera stopped rolling. But Tal Anderson couldn't stop crying. Not because something went wrong. Because for a brief moment, the line between fiction and reality disappeared completely. Standing across from her was Taylor Dearden, the actress playing her sister on screen, and what started as a scripted relationship had slowly become something far more real than anyone on set expected. And according to Tal, there was one specific moment during filming that changed everything between them forever. A moment no audience member ever saw. A moment that made the entire cast go silent. And strangely, it had nothing to do with acting. Tonight, we're diving deep into the emotional bond between the Pitt breakout star Tal Anderson and her on-screen sister Taylor Dearden, and why fans believe their connection may be the hidden heartbeat behind one of television's most emotionally authentic dramas. Because sometimes the most powerful stories happening on screen are actually happening behind the scenes. The first time audiences met Tal Anderson's character in The Pit, there was an immediate sense that something felt different. Not polished. Not overly dramatic. Not like traditional television. There was an awkwardness to the conversations. A tenderness in the silences. The kind of emotional hesitation real siblings have after years of shared pain, inside jokes, misunderstandings, and unspoken loyalty. Viewers noticed it instantly. Social media clips from the show began circulating online with captions like, "They actually feel related. You can't fake this kind of chemistry. This feels way too real." And that reaction surprised even the producers. Because when the series was first being developed, insiders reportedly worried whether the emotional family dynamic would land strongly enough with viewers. Medical dramas live or die on emotional investment. Audiences don't just want emergencies and chaos. They want people they emotionally recognize. That pressure rested heavily on the shoulders of the cast. Especially Tal Anderson. At the time, Tal was still emerging as a fresh face in Hollywood. She had talent, undeniable screen presence, and emotional range. But The Pit represented something different. This wasn't just another supporting role. This was the role that could define her career. And according to crew members later interviewed during press events, Tal approached the part with almost frightening emotional commitment. She wasn't trying to perform a sister relationship. She wanted to build one. That's where Taylor Dearden entered the story. Taylor already carried a reputation for emotional depth as a performer. Quiet between takes, deeply focused during scenes, and known for staying emotionally connected to characters long after the director yelled cut. Some actors separate work from reality. Taylor apparently blurred the line intentionally. And during early table reads for The Pit, something unexpected happened between the two actresses. The room changed. Producers later described the atmosphere becoming strangely intimate the moment Tal and Taylor began reading scenes together. Conversations that looked ordinary on paper suddenly felt painfully personal. A simple "Are you okay?" sounded layered with years of history. A pause felt meaningful. A glance felt like an entire argument. No one could fully explain why. But everyone noticed it. And what happened next quietly shaped the emotional core of the entire series. Originally, several scenes involving the sisters were written much shorter. Standard television pacing. Quick emotional exchanges before returning to the hospital storyline. But after seeing the chemistry between Tal and Taylor, writers reportedly began expanding those moments. Dialogue grew longer. Silences were left untouched. Emotional beats that would normally be edited down were suddenly preserved. The show started trusting stillness. That's rare for modern television, especially in high-pressure dramas. But viewers responded immediately. And Tal Anderson eventually spoke publicly about why. During an interview promoting The Pit, she was asked a simple question about working with Taylor Dearden. Her answer caught people off guard. Instead of giving a polished media-trained response, Tal paused for several seconds before speaking. Then she smiled. Not a celebrity smile. A real one. And she said, "Taylor made me feel safe enough to be emotionally honest." That single sentence spread rapidly online. Because actors complement each other constantly in Hollywood. But this felt different. It sounded deeply personal. Fans began revisiting scenes from the show looking for evidence of that emotional trust. And once people noticed it, they couldn't unsee it. There's a scene midway through the season where the sisters argue in a dim hospital hallway after a traumatic patient loss. On paper, it's a simple confrontation. But audiences became obsessed with one tiny moment inside the scene. Tal's character stops speaking halfway through an angry sentence. Taylor doesn't interrupt. She just waits. And the expression on her face changes almost imperceptibly, from frustration to concern. It lasts maybe 2 seconds. Yet fans online called it one of the most realistic sibling interactions they had ever seen on television. Why? Because real love often hides underneath irritation. And somehow, both actresses understood that instinctively. But what viewers didn't know was that filming that scene became emotionally overwhelming behind the scenes. According to later interviews, Tal struggled with the intensity of the confrontation because parts of the dialogue unexpectedly mirrored real experiences from her personal life. Most productions would have moved quickly to keep filming on schedule. Taylor reportedly did the opposite. She asked for time. Not for herself. For Tal. Crew members described Taylor sitting quietly beside her between takes, keeping conversation light, allowing the emotional pressure to ease naturally instead of forcing professionalism. No cameras. No publicity. No dramatic speeches. Just presence. And Tal never forgot it. In later interviews, she repeatedly described Taylor Dearden using words rarely heard in promotional press tours. Grounding. Protective. Generous. Those aren't typical Hollywood compliments. Those are emotional words. Human words. And perhaps that explains why audiences connected so deeply to their relationship on screen. Because the performances weren't built entirely from imagination. They were built from trust. But what happened next changed the public perception of their bond completely. As The Pitt grew in popularity, fan communities exploded online. Edits of emotional scenes between the sisters gained millions of views. Reaction channels praised the realism of their dynamic. Viewers started discussing their relationship almost more than the medical storylines themselves. And eventually, interviewers began asking more personal questions. That's usually the moment actors retreat behind rehearsed answers. Tal didn't. During one emotional press appearance, she openly admitted that working alongside Taylor Dearden helped her grow not only professionally, but personally. Then came the moment that stunned fans. Tal revealed there were days on set where Taylor could tell she was emotionally overwhelmed before she even said anything. No one saw this coming. Because suddenly audiences realized something important. The emotional realism they loved so much might not have been acting alone. It may have been genuine emotional understanding between two people who deeply respected each other. And strangely, that authenticity arrived at the perfect moment for television audiences. Modern viewers are incredibly sensitive to emotional dishonesty. They've seen thousands of performances, countless scripted, heartfelt moments, endless manufactured drama. Most of it fades instantly. But authenticity lingers. That's what made The Pitt stand out. The show wasn't simply telling viewers that these characters loved each other. It made people feel it. And Tal Anderson's praise for Taylor Dearden became symbolic of something larger happening in entertainment. Audiences are exhausted by artificial chemistry. They crave human connection that feels lived in, imperfect, vulnerable. That's exactly what these two actresses delivered. There's another scene fans constantly mention online. A quieter moment. No screaming. No breakdowns. No dramatic soundtrack. Just the sisters sitting together after an exhausting hospital shift, barely speaking. At one point, Taylor's character gently nudges Tal's shoulder without looking at her. Tal exhales. That's it. That tiny gesture became one of the most replayed emotional moments from the series. Why? Because it felt real. The kind of comfort siblings develop after years of surviving life together. And according to production stories, moments like that often emerged naturally during filming. Not fully planned. Not mechanically choreographed. Just emotionally discovered in the moment. That level of trust between actors is incredibly rare. Especially on newer productions. But perhaps the most revealing moment came near the end of the season. During a cast discussion, Tal was asked what she learned most from filming The Pitt. Many expected her to talk about acting technique or career growth. Instead, she said something much quieter. She said the experience taught her the importance of feeling emotionally safe around creative partners. The room reportedly went silent. Because beneath the Hollywood conversation was something universally human. People do their best work when they feel emotionally protected. Whether in families, friendships, relationships, or art. And maybe that's why viewers became so emotionally attached to the sisterhood portrayed by Tal Anderson and Taylor Dearden. It reflected something many people secretly long for. A connection where someone understands your emotions before you even explain them. As the success of The Pitt continues growing, fans remain fascinated by the relationship between the two actresses. Interview clips continue spreading online. Emotional scenes keep resurfacing across social media platforms. And audiences continue analyzing tiny details in their performances, searching for the secret behind their chemistry. But perhaps the truth is simpler than people expect. Maybe great emotional storytelling happens when actors stop trying to impress viewers and start genuinely listening to each other instead. That's what Tal Anderson appears to admire most about Taylor Dearden. Not fame, not technique, not performance, Presence. The ability to make another human being feel seen. And in an industry often criticized for superficiality, that kind of connection feels almost revolutionary. By the end of the season, viewers weren't just invested in the fictional sisters anymore. They were invested in the emotional honesty behind them. And maybe that's the real reason these performances resonated so deeply. Because hidden underneath the hospital chaos, dramatic dialogue, and television storytelling, were two actors quietly building trust in real time. One scene at a time. One silence at a time. One honest moment at a time. And sometimes,